On the floor by Mr. McShannon. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Fleury. Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next, administrative reports. Project-based learning in elementary schools. Ms. Myers, Teach for America.
Ms. Fleury, did you want to say a few words first?
As the board is aware, we have had a privilege for the last 3 years in Harlingen to partner with the Teach for America program. In addition to having several outstanding Teach for America teachers in our classrooms, we have been asked and invited to participate with Teach for America in its fellowship program, wherein a Teach for America individual works as in liaison with one of our school board members. It has been my privilege to serve as that school board member. As you all were introduced in the beginning of the year, this is Brynn Myers, who is an outstanding employee of the Teach for America program and has taken very seriously and put a great deal of attention and focus on a project that would be of benefit to the Harlingen School District. This, in fact, is a requirement of the fellowship program, and the individual who is selected, and is a competitive selection, to participate with the school district is required to engage in a project that is of benefit to the district as agreed upon by district staff. So we are exceedingly fortunate to have Brynn work with us because she has, I believe it is fair to say, brought a tremendous amount of talent and ability and an incredible number of hours to providing us with this important information. In fact, it is so significant that Dr. Flores requested that this not take place during public comments, which we have done in the past, but rather be reported in the administrative reports so that we can look at it very seriously for consideration in the future for this district. So it is with great pleasure that I reintroduce the board to Ms. Brynn Myers, and may I say thank you very, very much, and what a personal joy it has been to work with you. Thank you for that opportunity.
Mr. President, Dr. Flores, board members and community members, I just want to start by thanking you all for this time and this opportunity. I have learned an incredible amount from Jerry over the last year, and this opportunity is just deeply exciting to me to delve into project-based learning, and it's something that Harlingen has already begun with its partnership with the New Maynard Tech High School. And the question was posed, is it sound to extend project-based learning into our elementary schools? And I think from the presentations today, I've definitely seen a testament that project-based learning is already occurring unofficially within Harlingen walls. I'm just going to jump right into it. Today's kindergartners will be retiring in the year 2067. We have no idea what the world is going to look like then in 5 years, much less in 60 years. Yet we are charged with preparing our students for life that are facing so many emerging issues like global warming, famine, poverty, health issues, a global population explosion, and other environmental and social issues. Even kindergarten children can be making a difference by participating in real-life, service-oriented learning projects. Like we've said, Harlingen is already operating with implementing project-based learning in their secondary schools. Starting my research with constructivist theory and John Dewey and going everywhere, throughout educational research, many schools of educational theory support project-based learning. This report is going to go into, and I'm going to fly through a lot of it in the beginning and really dig into the differences of elementary school, but what project-based learning is, what the intent is. And I hope that you all leave my quick presentation thinking critically and reflectively and just thinking about what the future for Harlingen elementary schools can look like. What is project-based learning? Oftentimes people assume that project-based learning is very activity-driven and is a lot of, kids getting messy, but is it purposeful is the question that's often asked. True project-based learning is systematic. It is driven by standards, by the TEKS. It's stemmed from giving children challenging questions and problems to begin their tasks at hand, and then allow them to jump in and really grapple with facing the true skills that our students are facing in the 21st century. Critical thinking and problem solving, collaborating amongst themselves, being adaptable when facing problems, really fostering curiosity. And where I kind of wanted to begin was showing a video example of, it's a YouTube video. Well, I will jump past that. But I would encourage you all, I will send you the PowerPoint. There are children doing this already, and they're able to, the video is of a second grader who has designed a solar car, and he's able to articulate how he uses wind turbine and the forces of water and steam rising to heat if the car needs to refuel, and using solar panels. And it's this very, very small child who was just able to use these scientific terms that just blew my mind. And it was something that he came up with and he inspired, and it came from being posed the question, what happens when we run out of fossil fuel? And how can you make a car run without gas? Project-based learning is grounded in research. I know with the impetus of RTI, we're all very concerned with this being research-based decisions. And it is, from time to time again, we're seeing that project-based learning is having students working collaboratively in an interdisciplinary manner. I actually wanted to highlight one specific study, and I do apologize for the font. I made this on a Mac and it didn't transfer very well. But Horan, Lavroni, and Belden did a study where they observed project-based learning classrooms at 2 periods throughout the year. And they compared the behavior of high-ability students versus low-ability students, and how they engaged in 5 different social and academic behaviors during the study. They wanted to see, 1, are we seeing evidence of learning? 2, are we hearing the indicators of them grappling with those the high level blooms, synthesis, application, justification of different skills. And results are provocative but difficult to assess, given that it was all kind of anecdotal and observation-based research. Overall, the high ability students engaged in the criterion more than 2.5 times as the low ability students. But what was striking was at the end of the year, when they examined the growth and the progress that the students had made, the low ability students grew by 446% in the higher level critical thinking skills, and the high ability students also grew by 76%. But it was just so striking, the difference in the observation and what they saw in terms of assessment. There's a lot of different ways that project-based learning is currently existing and currently implemented across the country. One is expeditionary learning, which stemmed from Outward Bounds. It's known for wilderness expeditions. 9 out of 10 schools that implemented expeditionary learning demonstrated significant improvement in students' test scores in standardized tests for academic achievement. The gains in Dubuque, Iowa, 3 elementary schools implemented the program. After 2 years, 2 of the schools went from well below average to well above average, and the 3rd school went from well below average to on the district average. The magnitude of gains ranged from 15% in 1 year at one school to somewhere as high as 90% of growth from 1 year to the next in another school. The Co-nect programs are also schools that have shown results from implementing project-based learning. Co-nect is a comprehensive whole school reform effort that places an emphasis on project-based learning, interdisciplinary studies, and the real-world application of academic content. Co-nect schools gained 26% more than control schools over a 2-year period, and they showed strong academic gains in all subject matters. There's hundreds of examples, not hundreds, that's an overstatement. There's many, many other examples, including the Harriet Tubman Elementary School in Washington, D.C., the Promote Georgia Project, the Newsom Park Elementary School, the George Lucas Schools, International Baccalaureate, the list goes on. And in every comparative study that I was able to find, results from the mathematical assessments administered in each of the 3 years favored the students at project-based schools every single time. Students at the project-based school performed as well or better than students at traditional schools on items that required the rote knowledge, the foundational skills of mathematical concepts, and 3 times as many students at the project-based school as those in traditional schools attained the highest possible grade on the national assessment. my first response when reading this research was, well, if it's so great, why isn't everybody doing it? What's the holdback? It's a lot of work. It takes a giant leap of faith to stray from the workbook, the drilling, and the targeted instruction of standard-based teaching that we've come to know with the impetus of cost and tax. And even if one does take the leap of faith into project-based learning, it's not easy to plan. It's easy for projects to become activities. It's easy for teachers' dissatisfaction at the level of planning, and teacher sentiments towards sacrificing content and project-based learning. There's also a big holdback in the fear of management becoming a high issue. When you release control to students and have student-driven learning, it's a scary thing to take that step and say, all right, classroom management, especially in elementary schools, like go and learn. Project-based learning is also statistically questionable. As much research as is available that says it's wonderful and it does push gains, most of the studies do come from internal venues. So I would encourage the board to study further and see, as there are external results as more schools implement project-based learning, how sound it is. Teachers do anecdotally cite success. False highs are possible due to enjoying the activity, seeing increased student engagement, seeing increased attendance at schools where they've implemented this learning, and it's something where the visual effects may be more than the academic gains. Opponents also warn that projects can easily become unfocused. Underdeveloped lessons result in wasting time, and there's a general sentiment that lecture could equal more knowledge in the same amount of time. Previous attempts on hands-on and discovery learning had failed to reach widespread acceptance because developers didn't base their programs on the nature of student motivation as well. So as Harlingen looks forward into implementing project-based learning, I would say it can be done, but it has to be done right, and it has to be done with support in teacher planning. It has to be done with the students' interests and with the direction that our country is going, and that even the technology that we're using in mind. The director of the 21st Century Schools identifies the main holdback of implementing project-based learning as, in order to create a change in education, all stakeholders must be on board. And to me, looking at Harlingen's unique challenges and unique strengths as a site-based decision district, I think the most difficult thing is going to be getting all stakeholders, from community members to parents to staff to politicians, really appreciating the direction that our country needs to go and the directions that our students need to be learning to truly be globally competitive. We do have an achievement gap in this country, and not only from Harlingen to other areas of the country, but also from our country to nationally. Our students are being held back in science and technology and engineering and math, and it's something where we need to start thinking innovatively and creatively. I know I have only a few more minutes, but I do want to really quick highlight another concern is that elementary school can be too foundational. These are rote skills. Are we going to lose time? 37% of time in project-based learning is devoted towards project, which does leave 63% of instructional time to those basic foundational skills. We're not sacrificing those skills for the students. In terms of early childhood, the National Association for the Education of Young Children did adopt a position statement in 2009 that talks about developmentally appropriate practice in early childhood programs serving children birth through age 8. The report has so many assertions that just applaud and support the inclusion of project-based learning in early childhood, in kinder and pre-K and first. Developmental and learning occur in and are influenced by multiple social and cultural contexts. They're always mentally active and seeking to understand the world around them. Children learn in a variety of ways which are supported by project-based learning. Play is a crucial vehicle for developing self-regulation, as well as promoting language, cognition, and social competence. Development and learning advance when children are challenged to achieve at a new level, which project-based learning is about posing that challenge. And ultimately, children's experiences shape their motivation and their approaches to learning, such as persistence, initiative, flexibility. In turn, these dispositions and behaviors that are put in place in early childhood affect their learning and development for years to come. I would also want to put forward that the traditional project-based learning programs, such as Co-nect Schools, such as the BIEP, EBL, that's being implemented in the secondary schools, isn't the only answer, and I would encourage the board to think innovatively as well. Currently in the Valley, not only the Idea Public Schools, but McAllen ISD have implemented International Baccalaureate as a program that does encourage global-minded, project-based learning. Edutopia, the George Lucas Educational Foundation, is doing incredible things, as is the Partnership for the 21st Century Skills, which is a national organization of which Texas is not a part, but also just promoting those 21st century skills. My last assertion before opening it up for questions, and I do apologize for flying so quickly through this, is that these are all pictures of Harlingen students taken from the very website. And to me, it just screams that this is something that our children are ready for. This is something that our children are eager for. And this is something that our schools want, because they're doing it without our supervision, without our support. So to me, it just makes good sense to provide a system and the support that they're already doing on their own. Thank you so much for your time. And I know that you all have the full report, so I do apologize for going so quick. But I'm open to any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mrs. Myers. Any question from the board? Any comments?
So, Mr. President, I think it's a great report. I think the style which you used was scholarly in referencing the work of others to go into more detail for us to follow up on. And thank you for your efforts and your first-class presentation.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Ms. Fleury?
I think you all can see why I'm so high on Brynn. Thank you very, very much. This was an extraordinary effort and an extraordinary report, and I thank you very much. Brynn, in your report, because it is scholarly, as Dr. Baldo has referenced, there are the references for us to follow up on.
Yes, ma'am.
So that as we study this is available for all of the board members. Thank you very much. We appreciate it so much. Brynn actually is working with Teach for America teachers throughout the Rio Grande Valley. She is the teacher of the teachers, and she is the best of the best. So we've been extremely fortunate to have you. Thank you very, very much.
And I do support 4 Harlingen teachers right now. So they're all truly enjoying their time here.
Wonderful
Great
to hear.
job, yeah.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good report. Thank you, Brynn.
Thank
Thanks.
Dr. Flores?
Yes, I'd just like to add that I met with Brynn last week as we reviewed this, and we've been in contact because project-based learning, as we well know, is something that we are delving into at our high schools at the secondary level, because we are looking at 21st century skills. The development of 21st century skills no longer, as you noted, Brynn, that these kindergartners today will retire in 2067 in a world that is much different, and our world changes drastically right now. Why I share that with everyone is because we must still be cognizant to reading, writing, and arithmetic as a foundational pool, but we also need to make sure that we are stressing 21st century skills, which are the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and the fourth one eludes me. But nonetheless, the point to that is that we have to adjust, and we will delve into it, and I think this research is a foundation or an impetus for us to continue to look at that, because we don't want to go so fast that we say this is what and the only way we teach. We want to go at a pace that our teachers are successful and that we have student success. That's paramount. The last thing I'll say is that next month, James Piercy with Project Connect 21 and our 21st century skills development, as we look at that in our 4 high schools, 2 comprehensive high schools at Keys and at Early College, he will update the board on how that work is going with those campuses. So with that being said, this is a great piece of research that we will use. And as you know, last year, the Teach for America Fellow actually spoke on early childhood, which was an impetus for full-day kindergarten. Not that we're going to take this to that level, but to understand that this is the work that we do in conjunction with each other. So we applaud the work for Teach for America and understand the success that they provide and the quality teaching that they give to our students. Again, Brynn was 2 years, I don't know if we've mentioned this, she taught 2 years for us at Travis prior to her current role at Teach for America. So thanks for what you do.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. Thank you, Ms. Myers. Great job. Next, internal audit quarterly report.